Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Porch Talk. I have my special friend here, Tim Zalazzo, and I have my other friend here, Phil Pheasant, and we're missing one person. Let me see.
Who is it?
Who sits here? Oh, Paul Marino. He's on his way down, so don't get spastic. He'll be here shortly. What's new with Tim?
Nothing. Good to see you back on the.
Yes, it's
good to see you. I missed the last show. You know,
I know it.
I did what Paul did. I forgot about it, and then I had people visiting. So
it's good to be back. Believe me.
Yeah, well, that's the kind I wanted to come tonight, even though Paul is going to be here, just to welcome you back and
thank you.
You know,
thank you.
You lost some weight, though. I tell you, you look like you're not shriveled up, but
I'm ready to go back in the ring.
Yeah, well, a little more PT. A
little more PT. Well, I've been doing it since I don't know, January. And today I got notice that the end of this month is my last PT schedule, unless I appeal to the Medicare, and I already did. I called them up this afternoon and put an appeal in because I'm not driving yet.
Oh.
I'm able to walk with a cane, but I haven't been steady enough to walk any distance at all, like down street. Can't walk the length of Main Street.
Are you using a cane?
No, just a cane. No
just
walker.
A cane, no walker.
No walker anymore. And they wanted to know why I didn't progress so much, and I told them I got shingles. How long ago? A month ago or so?
Oh, sorry, I patted you on this.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Diane Feinstein's been out for months from her shingles.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh God. Well, we have a friend up on Florida Mountain who's had the shingles for over a year.
Yeah. Well, everyone I know that's got some, it's a horror show.
Oh, it is. It was.
You know?
I sleep in a chair at home, a recliner at home, and I can't get in bed with my wife because I'm afraid if I turn over and hit her, tap her, if she puts her arm on me by mistake, like some people want to shake my hand and I can't because it hurts in here from that.
Ed, did you get, No,
I didn't get the shot.
Well, I did about 6 years ago. I got the one shot, or 10 years maybe.
Yeah.
It was one shot, and then a few years later, they came out with one where my mother got it, and then a year later, she'd get the second one.
Yeah.
And I said, I just got one a couple years ago. Why would I, get another one? But I'm, wondering if that would have maybe prevented it. It's tough to say.
It's tough. It's a thing that if you've had chicken pox when you were a kid, and you could probably, with close-ups, you could probably see a couple of marks on me. I got a couple of marks on my chest and my leg with chicken pox from scratching. And I'm just watching what's going on. and if you had the chicken pox, you're more likely, I forgot what the percentage was on TV, that you would get shingles after you reach the age of 60. And I said, well, from 60 to 80, I didn't have them. So
well,
I'm good for 20 years.
Maybe your resistance has been, you've been going through a lot. I don't know.
Well, my immune system was really low.
Yeah.
I mean, my platelets were down to 2,000. From 245,000, they went down to 2,000.
Wow.
I spent 4 weeks in 3 different hospitals. I had 4 different hematologists, and one hematologist from Nova Scotia, Canada, said, there's nothing we can do for you except I got one trick up my sleeve. I'm going to give you a shot of this here. We'll see if it helps you. So they gave me a shot.
What was it though? What did they give you?
I don't. I got it home.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? What was he trying to?
He was trying to find out what kind of virus was killing my platelets.
Oh. Okay.
And they gave me the shot, and I went from like 17,000 up to 240,000 in a day.
Really? So that shot was the magic.
Magic. It killed whatever it was.
But Ed, you said you had chicken pox, but that's the thing. The chicken pox stays in your system.
Stays in your
It's-
system
it's
for your lifetime.
Lifetime. And then it rears its ugly head eventually, they claim, you know?
Yep.
So, well, geez, 2 months you've had it. I mean, do you still have a rash or you?
I've got some under my arm.
Okay.
A slight one under my arm, but nothing. But I still get the pain here. You can see where the rash was. It's going away, but it's still.
Okay.
I didn't say a word, but I want to say a word. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Welcome, Paul. Welcome, Paul. You pulled a TZ this month. Come on. You know, first Friday and third Friday. Yeah, I patted what? Don't pat him on his
Don't pat me on my
his
shoulder.
right shoulder. He's
I'm not patting him.
he's getting over shingles.
No hugging tonight
Okay.
because my shoulders hurt.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you okay on both sides? Or you doing good?
Fee, fi, fo, feet. Someone's sitting in
My seat. Oh, I love it. Oh. Well, hey, tonight I came. You know, I missed his first show back. So tonight is I bought a few pops here. We're having a
Party, it's a party.
self going away party. So you know, you guys will be back in action again. He looks like he's gonna. Now, Ed, getting back to driving, what is the main reason why you don't want to drive yet?
This leg doesn't work good.
Okay, so there's no power in the.
Well, I can't do that. I have to do that. So if I'm driving, I got to stop.
Yeah. Well, that's how it was when my hip. I knew I was in real trouble with my
Your
hip.
hip, you had to have your
I drove 3
replacement.
miles over to the senior center. I was getting ready for a 7,000-mile trip, and I said, "I'm struggling going 3. I guess this trip's not going anywhere." So, hey, you want to start introduce again or what?
I want to introduce you people to my co-host, Paul W. Marino.
I'm stupid.
Oh boy.
Now, I don't understand something. You just said now, you can do this, but you can't do this?
No. I cannot do this with my foot,
Uh-huh.
but I can do this, lift it with my hand or something. So if I got to stop fast, I got to lift my hand,
Is it just your left leg?
my
I mean,
right,
your right leg?
My right leg.
Yeah,
yeah.
some people I know used to drive with their right leg with the gas and then their brake with they use the
Yeah,
left.
no,
I don't think they teach that in
No, they don't
driver's
teach it.
ed.
It's a good thing you're not driving a standard.
Well, yeah, I used to drive a Standard. I had a Datsun 200, which I loved, little sports car. But my son said, "Can I borrow the car this weekend?" I said, "Sure." Where you going? "It's going back out to Notre Dame." He was at Notre Dame.
you
I
kept
haven't
it, huh?
seen the car for a year.
That's a little drive.
Yeah.
How's your car running? Good?
Fine.
Yeah?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Looked like you were taking a nap. Were you resting or writing another?
No, I was watching TV thinking about what am I going to do about supper?
Oh, all right. Yeah. Did you get outside today? Get any sun or?
Well, I was out most of the day, but in the car.
Okay.
Hey, I got a lot of sun today. I went out this morning. My wife took me for a walk out in my yard.
Yeah.
And I sat down on my walker. I took that with me. I used a cane, but she followed me with the walker.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Ed, that walker, man. I made
No,
mistakes
no.
with that
I
walker
had
in the
strength.
morning,
Yeah.
especially when you're a little
Yeah.
not awake yet. I'm telling
But
you.
I got out there and I sat in the chair and sat in the sunshine and I said, "Boy, this is great." And then this afternoon, well, about 11:30, 12 o'clock, my nurse came in and she said, "You know what we got to do today? We got to take a walk." And we went back out and did the same walk again. So I was out twice walking, which is good.
Why's your leg weak though? Are they telling you why your leg's weak?
No,
No.
no.
I mean, are your other left arm is strong? Okay.
Strong.
And your left side is. There's something going on your right side.
Well, no, I mean, this has got the shingles. That's what that is. But this here, it's kind of like, I don't know, muscle. But I've been working on this, and I've been doing stairs. They got me doing stairs, and I'm doing some kind of exercise with my legs in the recliner. They got a thing regular for me that I could sit in the recliner and do some exercises to strengthen my legs.
Lifting it
So
up.
you lift it up, and then just doing a knee, put your knee up to your chest as far as you
Oh,
can.
that's, yeah.
Sitting in the recliner.
That's
So it's been working out good. I don't notice it, but people who come once a week will look and say, well, you're doing good. You're doing better than last week. I can't tell, but they know. So what are we talking about tonight? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to talk about.
I got a truck for my wife. Best trade I ever made.
Okay.
Coming up,
But we're not talking
Okay.
about that.
I got a few things for you coming up here. I got a little surprise bag.
He's got a surprise.
When we have some lows here, I'm going to pull out a few surprises.
on the way in tonight, as we were coming up, my wife's driving, and I'm sitting there, and I'm able to look out and see things that I've never seen before. Like when we go to Bennington,
Yeah.
I'm saying, holy cow, when did that happen? Oh, that's been there for a year. I haven't noticed that, you know?
Just don't
Anyway.
get car sick. That's how the kids get car sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyways, the city workers came up to West Shaft Road after the storm, and it was closed. They closed West Shaft Road, both roads. So if you wanted to come to my house,
Yeah, my wife
you
told
had to
me.
go all the way down, Church Street and come up the other way. Anyways, they cut up all the trees that had fallen across the road, and there was a multitude of trees. And they threw them back onto people's property that
Right.
they belonged to.
Yep.
Okay? And we had a discussion at our house, and my son was there, and we said, well, the city picks the trees up off the road, they cut them up, and they threw them back at like 6-foot pieces or so forth. And now it's up to the homeowners to clean it up. Well, my son's been doing this for a couple of weeks now. Forgot how many tractor loads of branches and stuff he took, and there's still a couple piles around. But once you get past my house and you go up, going up towards the trail, there's all kind of rubbish and trees on the side of the road that the cities have cut and pushed off the road. And the homeowners are not taking care of it. And it looks like heck.
Up in Florida, they're chipping all this stuff. They're
Are
cleaning.
they chipping it?
Ed, I drove down to Connecticut on Route 8 a couple weeks ago, and that's all I saw on the side of the road was, especially the pines,
Yeah.
okay? Everywhere, all the way down. It was a mess.
Yeah, there's a couple of places on West Shaft Road where the pine trees have lost a lot of branches, and they're just laying there. Nobody's taking care of it because nobody lives there.
Yeah.
And the person that lives there is a single female who lives there, and she's not going to go out and do chipping or anything else.
Yeah.
So it's
Road
got to be
took
cleaned up.
Road took a hit, I think on Thursday of the blizzard. I went down to plow my sons out, and I said, boy, I'll probably never get that cleared out. But the road was clear, so I slowly hit the header. And,
Yeah.
But his power just went on after 3 days.
Oh.
And probably a quarter mile before his house, they were replacing 3 utility poles. And the stuff was snapped. There's stuff everywhere, you know. It did a good job on even the lilac bushes and everything. I went in, they were all broken off.
But you know what? Everything that was knocked down with the snow, like the burning bush and the lilac bushes and stuff, they all sprung back up. They're all back up together. It doesn't look like anything hit.
Yeah, well, these trees are snapped. You know, they're
Oh, they snapped the trees,
Snapped, or
yeah.
the branches are just snapped. You know, they're just hanging there, or they were on the ground. So.
Well, I wonder.
You wonder.
Yes, I do. I wonder as I wonder. I wonder if that fallen wood that was tossed there could be used for firewood.
Oh, absolutely. I thought of that. I said, if you're out there and you're listening, I'm going to tell you something. I can't tell you to do it because it's not mine. But on West Shaft Road, about a half a mile down, maybe a little less than a half a mile down from the Mohawk Trail, there's all kind of wood there that's pushed off, big pieces. If you got a chainsaw, go up there, cut it up,
Yeah, no,
I'm sure the owner of the property will thank you.
yeah, but
Well,
you
for
gotta,
that matter, why not just ask the homeowner, hey, look,
I don't-
there's all this wood there, do you mind
well,
if
some of the
I?
places, there's no homes there. They're just,
There's no homes.
and you don't know, but I'd take a little advisory on that because this is a big issue. For 20 years, I dealt with people cutting on how much the town owned in all these different hill towns.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, but I'm more concerned about someone getting hurt cutting on someone's property than what do they
Liability,
do?
yeah.
They sue the homeowner, and then the homeowner says, I didn't tell you to do it. And
Well, that's
all-
what,
you
that's
know,
what I
there's-
just said. I'm not telling you to do this, but
there's no posted signs, I mean, it's, I know. I think the city will end up chipping that stuff up because a lot of that stuff, Ed, that came down, to me, was on the right-of-way of the road. I mean, a lot of these roads got to be at least 60, 4 rods,
4 rods wide,
Four
yeah.
rods, 66 feet, maybe some are 50, but the city knows. I used to deal with, I can't think of his name now, the engineer. We deal over certain roads. While I was dealing with Macaulay.
state?
No, for the city of North Adams.
Brita,
Was it Brita?
Gene Brita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, could have been. He's a smaller guy, nice guy. Really
Yeah.
nice guy. Yeah. Gene.
Gene Brita, yeah.
Yeah, he knew the, boy, I'm telling you, he knew.
Well, the thing is, some of the logs are like this. The trees that fell, they're this big around.
Yeah, but you can put, I know, it's not, but they can,
Oh, you mean
can
the
put,
big,
whole- you can put,
I got a small chipper.
you can
know.
put, you can put
Yeah.
trees, big trees right in the,
Yeah.
Yeah, your road and the funny thing was, you couldn't, from Route 2, they wouldn't let you down West Shaft Road, but when my wife come back home from shopping, there was no signs down by
No, they
by
waited
Church
2
Street, so
days.
she drove all the way up, and you couldn't go
couldn't get
anywhere.
through.
She had to turn around near your house.
They never put signs out. I don't know what's the matter with the city. They never put signs out. They put signs out maybe 2 days after they closed the road by the Trailblazers soccer field.
Yeah.
They put signs out there, road closed. So if you came up from Church Street, you came all the way up to there like your wife did, and the road's closed.
Yeah, well, they could have put it down below, but
On
letting
Church
people
Street,
come
yeah.
up,
No- No through traffic.
Yeah.
That's all they had to put on there.
Wow.
All right, we don't have a new photograph, but
No, do you want to guess the question from last week? No one called in with it.
Okay.
We did give the answer at the end of the
at the end of
show.
the show, we gave the answer that it was.
So the question is, where was that photograph taken?
When I look at it,
Can you put the photograph in front, Joanne? Yeah, thank you.
my daughter did a thing with my mother. My mother worked in Sprague's for a short stint, and actually I went down into Mocha, and they've got a little sidebar museum, a little exhibit down there on Sprague's, and the first thing I do is say it's probably in the Sprague's where Mocha building is.
Well, you're
know-
right about Sprague's, but
Yeah.
not about the mill.
Not about, okay. I don't see many guys. I just see all women.
No, they're all ladies.
All women sewing.
No, they're not sewing. They're spinning capacitors.
Oh,
That's
okay,
the-
capacitors.
they're-
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
And there's a couple back there. I thought I recognized them, but
Oh, that's why the capacitors never failed on the moon missions the women were making.
oh yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wow. So what building was it in? Where was the other?
That was the Brown Street Mill,
Okay.
because Sprague in North Adams started as Sprague Specialties. They were established to manufacture radio tuners, and it used a midget condenser that no sooner did they get the company established, the maker of that condenser discontinued the line. So they started making their own. And in fact, Mrs. Sprague was the first employee, and she rolled capacitors on the kitchen table.
Really?
Yes. So they started in, I can't think, it's out near Boston. And then they decided they needed to expand, and they looked in Lawrence and Lowell and a couple other places, including North Adams. And the local investors, there was a consortium of businessmen and industrial leaders who offered them money to move to North Adams and provided them with the Beaver Mill. And
That's
that's
right.
where,
That was the springs,
yeah.
and the water was from that series of dams when I had
Yeah,
the deeds
so
up there.
that's where they were.
Okay.
But by 1936, they started getting government contracts. And so they expanded into the Brown Street Mill, where they were making capacitors and gas masks, parts for bombs, and so on.
Gas mask. That's what the Eclipse Mill
And-
is making. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And, well, they also expanded into the Eclipse Mill, but before they expanded to there, in 1940, they bought the Marshall Street complex, which had just been shut down by Arnold Print.
Arnold Printworks.
And that became the corporate headquarters for the newly named Sprague Electric Company.
Question. Did Sprague Electrics ever make a radio?
No, they did make what they called the Visivox. It was a home talking picture machine. It projected a 16 millimeter movie onto a rear projection screen. And this is a quote from the newspaper. The screen was the size of a modern TV screen, which means it was literally the size of my hand, vertical. And it ran in synchronization with a 78 RPM record. So they bought, now John Sprague insisted that his father and Uncle Julian had invented the thing. I don't think so, because if they invented that, they would have patented it. They would absolutely have taken a patent down on it, but there's no mention of it in the Sprague patents. And the other thing is that would involve optics. Now, R.C. was a crackerjack electrical engineer, but did he know enough about optics to be able to develop a movie projector that would project, I think it was 9 inches
Wow.
onto a little screen like this? I don't think so. Plus, the person who first told me about it told me that they had bought the manufacturing rights.
Okay, so that's different than a patent, a manufacturing rights. It kind of sounds
Yeah.
like the same thing almost, you know?
So, at any rate, they went out and they bought Rolls-Royce parts. They bought optics from Bell and Howell, which at that time was the Rolls-Royce. They bought sound systems from Delco. The cabinets were made by the people who make Baldwin pianos.
That's some all top quality stuff.
Yeah, all top quality stuff. They put one together. They had a presentation in RC's office, served ice cream, and then they found out the market was not going to support them. And one of the local investors said famously, "They're not up against the wall, they've fallen through it." And they were literally at the brink of bankruptcy, probably past the brink.
Well, that's why they use that term.
Yeah.
Fall through the wall.
And let's see, what was his name?
So this is around 19.
Yeah,
around
Rachel
1930s?
Branch's uncle.
Yeah.
Gallup?
No,
Not the
no,
Gallup?
no,
Oh,
no. I'm sorry, her grandfather, who was Gallup's son-in-law.
He was the treasurer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was put in charge of the company and told he could do whatever he wanted with it. Now, initially, he didn't want anything to do with it, but James D. Hunter talked him into it, and he took it on the condition that he could do whatever he wanted. Run it, shut it down, sell it piecemeal, whatever. They said, go for it.
2 names. Gallup or Flood?
Flood.
Flood.
Yeah, George B. Flood.
George B. Okay.
So the first thing he did was, oh yes, it was Quincy where the company started. R.C. and Julian were still living in Quincy and commuting daily in the company plane.
The plane?
Yeah.
Out to where? Harriman or?
Well, yeah.
To here.
Here. Wow.
From Quincy every day.
Okay,
They
it's
flew in, flew back home. The only one of the brothers that was actually living here was Desmond, their older half brother. And so the first thing that George B. Flood did was he sold the company plane, which was really a toy for RC. So then he bought a house on Church Street and told RC, "This is where you live."
Okay.
And then he told him,
Where's
"You
the
are-"
house? Which house was it? You know which one? Is it? one of
yes.
those closer to the library in that area right there?
Yeah. There are 2 houses that were designed by the same guy that did the library. At any rate,
It's
they
on,
were
it's on the
designed.
library side where the
Richard's son.
Masonic temple used to be? Is that?
No, that's too far down.
Yeah. But it's on that side, I mean, on that side of the
yes,
street.
yes.
Yeah, there's a couple nice big
Yeah,
houses.
so he bought one of those houses for his son and the other for RC. And then he told him, "You are now my sales manager. You get out and you sell this company." Well, of course, RC had a lot of contacts in the Navy, and this started bringing in military contracts.
Well, that's...
And by 1936, the company was turned around enough that he was able to buy back the controlling interest and start running the company himself. And of course, he learned from George B. how to do business, which is something that his father had to learn too. His father, Frank Sprague, started his own company about 1890, the Sprague Electric Works in New York City. But the thing was, he was an electrical engineer, not a businessman. And his partner in the business was the guy who held the purse strings. And I think it was 1895 that J.P. Morgan was buying up electric companies to establish
GE.
General Electric.
J.P. Morgan, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
and
Morgan.
one of the companies he bought was the Sprague Electric Works. So that company was sold out from under Frank.
Now, Frank, is he the one that invented the electric brake for the bus trolleys?
No,
was
he
another-
invented the first practical industrial electric motor.
Okay.
And he applied that first to trolleys. Then he applied it to elevators. The thing was that elevators had to work in synchronization. He was the one who came up with the idea of putting a motor on each car so so a single elevator could work by itself.
Before that, it was when this elevator went up, this elevator couldn't go up. When this one come down, the other
Oh,
one
is that how
couldn't
they?
go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
Okay.
it was. That's how it used to be.
They were
when
tied
first
in
came
with
out.
the cables. Yeah.
And they
Wow.
weren't cable elevators at that time. They had to drill down 40 feet and put a
What did they use?
piston,
Oh,
piston,
piston.
oil, hydraulically lifted the elevators
Well,
up.
hydraulic's amazing.
Yeah.
Hydraulic.
Well, you know, we had the same thing in the Kimball block.
That's right.
I remember that, you know, you'd go in and there's this fabulous wrought iron cage, and you push the button and you could see the counterweight going up and the column coming down, and the elevator came down, and the operator opened the cage, opened a sliding door, then opened the cage, let you in, close that, where are you going?
Yeah, remember those old
Yeah.
with the things? I could try to.
Yeah,
Where the heck I used to be.
and
in,
he
uh,
worked a lever.
Howard.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember
To
Howard?
run, yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
think where the heck
and
I was in a building that used that. I was a little
well,
kid.
once I was in England Brothers in Pittsfield, and there was a young woman operating the elevator, and she did not have any of the finesse that operator in North Adams had. You know, there's a little thing on the wall, and she, and you're flying up and then stops, you know, and just gets it
That's where she
lined
got
up.
all her money for lunch. The change
Yeah.
fell out of your pocket.
So when they put in the modern electric elevators, they closed that off, that original elevator.
Yes, yeah.
And essentially, it's a closet now in the cellar. And I wish they would put that elevator back in service.
You take a ride just for the heck of it. I would
Yeah.
Go up and down. It was only, was it 5 stories? 5
Six.
floors, 6 floors?
I'm trying to think. I just read an article in New York. Someone wanted to build an elevator, and the planning commissions, they want it inside. He wants it outside, because if he puts it inside, it's going to be about $2.5 million versus
Outside's cheaper.
one side. Yeah, and I'm trying to think if it's the Patriots. No, it could be Kraft. Who the heck was it? It's someone that he claims he's disabled and having a hard time moving. And they said, well, we see you playing tennis and everything. He says, well, I can't remember. I got to watch what I say. But yeah, I just read that the other day.
The
heck,
Historical Society at one time in the building that they were in Heritage Park,
5A.
they wanted to put an elevator in. There's an elevator in there. There's one in there, but it only goes from the ground floor to the second floor.
Right, that's
So,
right.
Yeah, you know what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So they had cannibalized that elevator to fix the one in Freight Yard Pub. So it was no longer operable. But they wanted to continue it up to 3 floors. However, on that side of the building, it only went up to 2 floors. So to get to the 3rd floor, you had to go up 2 flights, get out, get in another elevator, and go up to the 3rd floor. Well, we were going to do one outside. Unbeknownst to me, if you go outside and you take a rod, a re-rod, and stick it in the soil, you can only go down 6 inches, and you're on ledge.
Well, yeah, you see that whole ledge
Yeah.
outcropping as
Yeah.
you walk down. Yeah.
So
Well, at least it's stable ground. You know, it's not like I'm seeing out west with this flooding.
No.
Just whole chunks of land just sloughing off the, you know, doesn't even look like looks like it's topsoil, for
Yep.
God's sake, you know, and sand.
So in order to put an elevator in, they'd have to do it just the opposite. They'd have to put everything up on top, the cables up on top, to pull the elevator up and let it down. Because they would have to drill out, I think it was 4 feet they had to drill out
Down?
down,
Yeah.
under the ledge to get the elevator to come down level.
Level.
Yeah. So it ended up like millions of dollars.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No.
I'm trying to think who the heck that was wow.
Well, anyhow,
Yeah.
What's in your bag of tricks?
I got a few things here. So show and tell. The first one here is a question for Paul. Let's see here.
Yes, but never on the first date.
I'm wondering if you think the term knothead. You ever hear that term? You're a knothead.
Yeah.
If it came from knots off a tree, see how hard that is. All right. And,
Probably as good as stone.
Knothead. Okay. And what do people use it for when they say you're a knothead? That means that you're hard-headed. You're not catting things.
Yeah.
Or is that what? What do you
Very
think?
likely.
Huh? Ooh. Okay.
They come off a tree?
Yeah.
How long ago?
It looks like a hat.
I'm putting together a wood exhibit someday. Every time I cut something or I see it on a tree,
Is that petrified wood?
no. But I tell you what, isn't that hard?
It's hard. You want a piece of petrified wood?
Petrified wood?
Yeah.
It's rock. You're talking.
It's
rock.
drilling in Washington, D.C. I picked some up.
It looks like a skull almost, huh?
Yeah, but it also looks like a hat for a baby's head.
And it's hard.
The hat, and here's the brim.
I'm just wondering if that's
A
where
crash helmet for a baby.
I'm just wondering where that term came from. If
Knothead?
Knothead came from knots of a tree, because this is like rock. This is
Oh,
really,
yeah.
And there's two different types of knots in a tree. One is a good knot. The other, the tree's not. The branch isn't growing in it. But here now I got a couple things here. I'm going to talk about this latest book I just read. It's myths, but I'm going to try to end a myth here. You brought it up at one of the shows. Church of Birds. I'll talk about this in a minute. I want to tie into some of the shows we did when Paul was in the hospital.
Okay.
Okay? This helped me connect a lot of things. This is Paul brought up
The Crooked Forest.
the crooked forest, okay? And this was a live tree until we had a storm. I'm trying to think when this came over. One of the storms this winter, okay? Ooh.
That's all right.
All right, so I saw it, and somewhere down the road, this tree is probably, I didn't count the annual rings, but this tree is probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, maybe 20 years old, okay?
What kind of wood is that?
It's white pine.
White pine.
And that's what a lot of the stuff you see with the storm damage is the white pine.
Yeah.
All right, it's different than a deciduous tree. It's got all the branches on it. They take that snow and they're very flexible. Pine's an amazing wood. That's what the country was built on at first with timber frames. So I saw this in the woods and I got thinking about you bringing it up. And I said, there it is. I got to bring that to Paul. And there were 2, 3 theories about the crooked forest up in Savoy. One was that a glacier. There's no way the glacier was going to do anything. It was a bad ice storm.
Bad ice storm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, probably 20 years ago, 1998, well, we had an event for the Civilian Conservation Corps members that were still alive.
CCC.
And one of the guys I knew well, we called him Doc Crozier, Melvin Crozier,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And we started talking about this. There was about probably 6 old gents there that, and they entertained us for a couple hours, and we fed them and, we just recorded everything. And what Doc told me was he was a mechanic and a welder. And where the crooked forest is, or was, off of Bliss Road, is it? No, what is it called?
It's on there.
No,
Burnett,
well, it's in Savoy.
Yeah, Savoy. Burnett, not Burnett Road. What the heck is it called? I'll think of it in a minute. Come on, we talked about it. Go up that
I
road.
don't remember, but yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to go there and see the site.
Okay, well, what Doc told me was, because I thought when I looked at old pictures, remember I told you how we used to harvest Christmas trees?
Yeah.
And then we'd leave the bottom whorl, and then you'd get 4 or 5 branches coming up.
out.
And then we'd go back in a couple of years, see what were the 2 healthiest on opposite sides, cut the other ones to give it more nutrition, and then we'd go back and sometimes leave 2 of them and make smaller trees, but normally we would just cut and leave 1 branch. And the branch is always growing up, okay? And we sold 3 trees off of 1 tree. But what Doc told me, and it makes sense, because a lot of the pictures I see the tree in the middle, it looks like it's healed over. And I thought someone cut a Christmas tree and then bottom whorls started growing. Doc told me every time the young guys would come up, there was a camp in Savoy. There were camps all around, all right? They built all the roads and everything. Doc told me that when they would drive out with their trucks after he fixed them, he'd get really upset because they'd run over 1 or 2 rows of trees that were, because that's what they were planting all the time,
Yeah.
reforestation. You know, they bought the land for $5 an acre, and Doc said they'd run over all the trees, and he used to be yelling at them, chasing them, okay? So, you know, that theory, when they were small, when they ran over the trees, it's no different than the ice storm bending this tree over maybe 10 years ago. And if you look at that heel, see how it healed right over?
Yeah.
You see how strong? I mean, and then this started growing up again like another tree. When I saw that, I said, I'm going to cut it. Well, the thing came down, and it split at
Yeah.
the bottom. So, and it split here too. So I figured I'd cut it and bring it in.
Some years ago, when I was relatively healthy, I was up near the Monroe prison camp. Well, at least the site of it. And just for something to do, I climbed up a hill there, and up at the top, I found one of those trees.
Bent just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the top too, you'd be more prone to damage at the top of the mountain. So, and then
And I remember there's down where the Crooked Forest allegedly was, goodness knows it might still be there.
I'm going to think of the road here. but
There's a couple of cemeteries down there as well.
Yeah, right. Jesus, right off of 116.
You take a right?
The church, you take a left and you go up. I can't remember.
Oh, you're on down the bottom, okay.
Not Burnett Road.
No.
No, it's not.
No, well, there's off of it, there's a road that goes up to the old fire tower.
51.
Yeah, well, the Tower 51 road, if you take the road from 116, if this is 116, and you take a left on 116 as you're going east, that
Yeah.
road eventually will take you to Tower 51 road.
Yes.
That will.
Yeah,
okay,
so
'cause-
you take that right turn to go onto Tower Road, but then
Bliss Road.
there is a road that comes off of that on the right that goes up to the tower.
Is that the Swift River Road? That road goes down, is that the west branch of the Swift River? There's a river that runs down along that road, isn't there? Am I
Well,
thinking of another place?
you've got the river going on River Road where Windsor State Forest is. That's the west
West branch of the
east branch of the West River.
West River.
Okay. I can't believe I can't think of that name.
Well, you know,
we put money into it.
It will come to
Paul?
you as soon as we've gone off
Paul,
the air.
I'll
did you
think of
notice
it.
the age is getting after some people?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
It's nearly time to take you out back and shoot you.
Yeah. Well, not yet. Well, I didn't forget about the show tonight.
Oh,
All right. So Ed.
Next time I shall bring in rubber band guns and you can both shoot me with them.
All right. No, that was really surprised. Good thing that they gave you a call. That was
Yeah.
really
so
good.
we called them up and
You know, what the heck would the show would have been? You know, I'm signing off with you two guys. The Church of Birds just came out.
myth and religion.
Maybe it's, Myth and Religion, The Church of Birds by Ben H. Gagnon. And anyways, Ed, what's interesting about it is what he does in this book is he explains about all the bird migratory flyways throughout the world and where they are.
world.
Throughout the world. And wherever the birds migrated is where there was the most diversity. And remember we talked about Homo erectus and the cradle of mankind,
Right,
and they followed and they crossed over into what was Syria and Iraq and started agriculture. They went from an Allegorian society to a class system.
Okay.
Well, this book explains how all the migratory paths follow these serpentine rivers where there's fresh water and there's so much food, and a lot of that diversity of the food from fruits, squash, peanuts, tobacco, apples came when the birds, before they migrated, they would stock up on food for the haul. And bunch of dead birds were in one area, and the scientists opened them up, and they were just loaded with seeds.
seeds.
Okay, so we talked about fossils being found, and most fossils were found by rivers. Okay, where the sediment, something happened to them, the sediment in a flood, the sediment covered them over. So all bird migration paths, flyways, they go along the coast. They don't go over across the ocean. They follow the coast, and then they stop on volcanic islands. There's no predators, and they rest, and there is food, okay? And then they end up going down to where they stop, and he goes through the whole history going back 5,000, 10,000 years, the Paleolithic, Neolithic, how all the symbolism of the dove and all the different things with religion and myths. You know, every myth from the Brule Sioux in Wyoming, having a dream about a woodpecker, and then he woke up and he followed the woodpecker into the woods, and the woodpecker brought him to a tree with holes in it, and the wind was blowing through the tree, and he went back and built a flute, you know? And some of the other things here, where the serpentine rivers flow, it's so fertile and it's fresh water. They're also right by, we get into magnetism from volcanism. They're all volcanic mountain ranges, okay? That too, because the scientists been studying for a couple years, for a long time. Can birds, do they have that, is there something that allows them with magnetics, with the volcanoes, to follow that route? Well, it just happens that the volcanoes are also by these serpentine rivers near the volcanic mountain ranges. And it's interesting, not to deviate, but I don't think I sent it to you guys. I sent it to a few other guys. Speaking of nature, he does a Greenfield article. Tom Smith does the Nature Watch and the Berkshire Eagle. And I read a story, a fiction, a few years ago, and I didn't realize, but when he talked about Irene Pepperberg, she was a scientist at Harvard, and the story was about how we spend all this money looking for sounds of extraterrestrials with these devices we have, and we're just fascinated with trying to connect.
Oh, yeah.
But Irene, and the story's written from the parrot, Alex, okay? And Irene trained Alex for 30 years, a parrot, an African parrot.
Oh, they're the smartest ones.
Well, you got some
They're great.
whooper swans that 85% of their babies, they have an 85% success rate, saying how smart they are to be able to protect their young ones, okay? So Alex, she trained with Alex. He died, unfortunately, at 30 years old. Sometimes they last 50 years. 50,
yeah.
my mother had one, it was from my brother. But his last words to her the night that he died was, "You be good, I love you." But she had that bird being able to understand abstract concepts.
Really?
She could put a plate of different shapes with different colors, and she'd ask him, "How many squares are there?" 5. "What color are they, Alec?" "Blue." "Okay. Alec, what's this?" "How many sides?" 4. "It's a square. It's orange." Okay, a 6-year-old level. And the fiction story I was reading about, where the parents were going, "You people are spending so much money wanting to talk to an extraterrestrial." And in this book, they talk about how birds really started our language. Well, you know, the birds just talking. The people would hear these sounds and start imitating them. And so he said, you're spending all this time and energy trying to hear another extraterrestrial, and we've been right here talking to you. And you didn't maliciously destroy all our habitat, but you're doing it. And we're going to go into the dark, they called it the dark silence, the great silence. Okay, we're not going to be around, and you guys, no one ever really gave us any attention, you know?
I have a friend who now lives up in Canada who wrote a book about whales. and he tried to figure out how the whales were communicating with each other, and is there anything that we could pick up from the whales? Well, the Navy picked something up out of his books and said, we're doing that with dolphins right now.
I was gonna say, dolphins are,
The Navy was doing it with dolphins right
Right.
now. So he worked. He used to live up, let's see, 1, 2, 3 houses away from me. He lived on Francis Street. I lived on the corner of Hooker Street. And I went to school. I went to Drury. His brother and sister went to St. Joe's. Walsh.
Walsh.
Yeah. Mary Ann Walsh.
Yeah, no, that name's, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
There's a Walsh in Williamstown. My physical therapist is a Walsh.
no,
Yeah, I'm
that's-
trying to think of Mary
Yeah.
Ann.
She was, oh boy. Their mother was, her brother used to be a principal down at McCann School. Big guy. Joan. Principal at McCann School.
Jim Brassman.
No, he's a superintendent. He used to be a principal. His sister was a nurse. See? You got outside influence.
Yeah. Well, we got to get her on the show someday.
Yes,
Okay?
absolutely.
We'll get her on and we can talk about the farm and
Oh, the
all-
farm.
you know, the tax bill when they were taxing you in Adams.
Pardon?
Cardillo.
It was,
The nurse was
the brother played in the Boston Pops Orchestra. He played the clarinet.
Pete Cardillo.
Cardillos.
Oh, Cardillo.
Cardillo.
Yeah.
Franny's mother was a Cardillo.
Okay. Cardillo. Wasn't he the accordion? I'm trying to think. Was
No,
he?
he's a clarinet.
Oh, clarinet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Boston Symphony, Boston Pops.
Yeah, so this has got, and he gets near the end when he gets into, he gets into a lot of stuff. His first book was a fiction on Ireland, ancient Ireland, the Neolithics, the farmers, and the end grange. You ever hear of the end grange? It's
No.
a massive, the monolithic, massive thing, 300 feet across, with all the huge, what do they call them, curb stones, or
It does not sound familiar.
well, it's all oriented to we're going back 5, 6, 10,000. They built these massive structures like hedgestone, you know,
Yeah.
Stonehenge.
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 Okay, this is over in Ireland. Okay, and right on my daughter was born on the solstice, December 21st. On the solstice, the sun comes up and it shines right through the opening of the End Grange Monument. And it goes right through and lights the whole thing up. You know, I mean,
Wow.
he explains a lot of different things that you don't realize how aware people were of things back 10,000 years ago. And now they're finding, with LiDAR, we're using it for finding big trees, okay? You send down a signal, it bounces, it hits the ground and bounces back up, okay?
Yeah.
They're finding all kinds of things in Machu Picchu, all these different migratory places where, you know, they're looking right through and seeing all these, everyone's settled around the migratory pass. And then when the birds would come back down migrating, that was like, that was the festival time, okay? And, you know, back then they thought it was something that was just like the Egyptians with thinking that, you know, the sun was their god. And it'd go down, let's hope it comes back up tomorrow, you know? The pagan type thing, you know? And then Constantine.
Constantine.
He's the one that, I like this one, Ed. He's the one that said, take all this religious stuff, bring it out to the desert. He says, we're going to get everyone on the same hymn page, okay?
Right.
And then he started,
Yeah.
you know, wow. Anyways, this has been amazing how we talked about the path from the cradle of mankind and why they left Africa and where they went. And this book explains they lived with the birds, because the birds, and some of them were sacred, but they still killed some of them,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah. yeah.
You know?
Yes.
This afternoon, I watched a program on Machu Picchu.
Where was that?
On National Geographic on
Oh,
TV
oh.
with Lynn, the gentleman that has a prestigious leg. He has what the metal, the ones that curved where he walks.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No,
He
yeah.
went to visit that. That's amazing.
Ed, that was one of my
That's
dream trips. I
amazing.
took Spanish for a couple of years to go. And Ed,
gosh.
what they're coming out now with the way they work the stone,
Yeah.
how tight everything is, how,
They cut stones as big as this table with stone.
yeah.
They didn't have brass or bronze. They had stone.
Right.
They cut it, and when they put it together, you could not fit a razor blade between the stones.
I know.
That's how
Yeah.
good they were. They used like a hard stone to cut the softer stone, the limestone, but this was all hard stone.
Hard
It was
stone.
amazing.
Well, I popped some quartz for a guy yesterday in Row. We thought it was gold in it, okay?
I was
and
gonna
I
say.
popped it about, I didn't think I was gonna get it, and about this, I broke it all apart. And he's bringing it to UMass because he's got quartz around all these flower gardens. And boy, there's some of it, it could have been iron oxide, it could have been, what's the other one? But you could tell, remember you brought yours in?
Yeah.
You know, you could see some that bright yellow gold was just shining. So I kept telling him about you.
We have just about 2 minutes left.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, we do. So thank you both for starting without me.
That's okay.
And thank you both for welcoming me. And thank you to Joanne and her friend in there. And thank you for watching. Yes, both
Yes.
of you. Yeah, yeah.
They're back. They're both back.
We're back,
Hey.
and we'll be here in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes, and I wanted to say that it's not surprising that the ancients were, well, shall we say, smarter than we were, because they had to be. Our educational system is now so off kilter that we don't learn the things we need to learn.
Oh. Well, his father was the dean of UMass Boston. He started the humanities and social science. I just Googled his father. He told me his father. And it's interesting because he put the book together
Yeah.
of K through 12, everything you should know, okay? And yeah.
Well, I have just enough time to give you an example. Some years ago, there was a TV show on where they had people trying to recreate what the ancients had done. And one of the things they did was they took a catapult designed by the Romans and got a team of modern engineers
Yeah.
to put it together.
I saw that. That was good.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
so
that was
when
good.
they fired a rock with it, it didn't go as far as the Romans claimed to have gotten it. Turns out that one of these geniuses decided, oh, well, these struts here are too steep. We better change the angle on these. So thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in 2
2
weeks. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you.